Good afternoon. Welcome back, everyone, to the DEI Table Talk. We've been away for a bit, but we are back. Yay! It's the whole group, and we have a lot of new conversations to have. And today we're going to talk about allyship and what does that mean. And so I'm going to show a video to everybody, and then we're just going to have a great conversation, okay?
Imagine your friend is building a house and they ask you to help, but you've never built a house before. So it'd probably be a good idea for you to put on some protective gear and listen to the person in charge. Otherwise, someone's gonna get seriously hurt. Look, I'm helping! It's the exact same idea when it comes to being an ally. An ally is a person that wants to fight for the equality of a marginalized group that they're not a part of. We need your help building this house, but you probably should listen so you know what to do first. Let's do this. So here are my 5 tips for being a good ally. Understand your privilege. Now, a lot of people get hung up on the word privilege, so let me break it down for you nice and easy. Privilege does not mean that you are rich, that you've had an easy life, that everything's been handed to you and you've never had to struggle or work hard. All it means is that there are some things in life that you will not experience or ever have to think about just because of who you are. It's kind of like those horses that have those blinders on. They can see just fine. There's just a whole bunch of stuff on the side that they don't even know exists. So for example, there are currently 29 states where you can legally be fired for being gay, and there are 34 states where you can legally be fired for being trans. Now, as a straight cis woman, those are things that I don't have to ever think about if I don't want to. I'm not going to be fired because I'm straight, and I'm not going to be fired because I'm cis. So it makes sense that before I can fight for the rights of others, I have to understand what rights I have and others don't. That's privilege. Listen and do your homework. It sounds like a no-brainer, but it's not possible for you to learn if you aren't willing to listen. So you gotta know when to zippa the lippa. I don't know. You get what I mean. But that's the thing that's so cool about social media. There are so many people sharing their stories all around the world and connecting with people that they normally would never get a chance to without the power of the internet. So do your homework. Start reading blogs, tweets, news articles, and stories so that you can get caught up on the issues that are important to the communities that you want to support. Speak up, but not over. If the Fight for Equality was a girl group, the ally wouldn't be the lead singer or the second lead singer. They'd be Michelle. An ally's job is to support. You want to make sure that you use your privilege and your voice to educate others, but make sure to do it in such a way that does not speak over the community members that you're trying to support or take credit for things that they are already saying. This isn't Mario Kart. Stay in your lane. Realize that you're going to make mistakes and apologize when you do. Nobody's perfect. Unlearning problematic things takes time and work, so you are bound to mess up and trip and fall. But don't worry, you can brush yourself off and get right back up. I'm back up! Just remember that it's not about your intent, it's about your impact. So when you get called out, make sure to listen, apologize, commit to changing your behavior, and move forward. Last but certainly not least, actually the most important thing on this list, is remember that ally is a verb. Saying you're an ally is not enough. You gotta do the work. 1 through 4. 1 through 4. As always, there are links in the video description box to some of the things I mentioned in this video, along with some resources that have been really helpful for me as I've gone along in my journey to be more conscious. So I want to hear from you in the comments. What are some sites that you suggest checking out, and what are some things that have helped you become a better ally? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and help see you when I see you. Bye!
Okay. Did everyone enjoy the video? Thought-provoking, right? What are some thoughts, immediate thoughts that come to mind after seeing the little short video on allyship?
I think it was very accessible. I think like such a short, like pretty comedic, form of like an introduction to how to be an ally and kind of like the basic tenets that you want to keep in mind would be especially helpful for someone who maybe like has kind of just started on their journey and needs to know like, okay, how the heck do I navigate this? Like what am I supposed to do? Because you get a lot of conflicting information when you want to become an ally for a new group or want to, start being more socially conscious. It can be sometimes difficult to know where to start.
Right.
I love the simplicity behind it, defining privilege, and I've seen this now probably a handful of times, Wendy, like through DEI and just watching it. And every time I just pick up on those little things, it's like, oh yes, it's important to listen, to be aware and apologize. If you're not sure where to go, I love the analogy like building a house. Like, I don't know how to build a house.
Right.
And I think you can just use that like in every day, but especially when it comes to being an ally.
Right. I agree with you, Christina. I like how she explained privilege, because I think that notion gets very twisted and people don't really understand, what it means. And just the mere fact that she said, I'm cisgender and I never ever have to think about any of the things that impact LGBTQ community. And so you can say that for basically any population, right? So I like that about the video. Anybody else want to jump in? What did you guys like about the video?
For me, I got the whole concept of, well, first of all, I didn't know much about allyship until I offered to join the panel. So I had to dive into it in my own world to understand the true, background of it. And I agree with Lindsay, for a short video that kind of touched on all the key points of, introducing you to being a key supporter. It's okay to step out of your comfort zone, but please, before you step out of your comfort zone, understand where you're diving into and where you're opening yourself up to. And like she said, with the horse and the blinders, we all can be, simple-minded of following our own path, but understanding that sometimes you do stumble in that path, and it's okay to stumble, but as long as you're asking for help, asking those questions, and you're listening to the key points.
Yeah, I liked the horse blinders thing too, because it's like, and how it was a verb thing you have to consciously think about. You can't just do it. You can't just say that you're doing it. And it's not a status symbol to be an ally, it's an action. So
Agreed.
yeah, and it's just sort of things like people in certain groups who are more marginalized have to think about more things, and if you're not in that group, you have to consciously think about them because they're not coming to you automatically. You have to be there. Someone has to tell you, and you have to listen.
Yeah, I agree. That was a key stat that I didn't even know, as far as about being transgender and being gay, that you can be fired. Like something like me, like she said, in a world where I'm married, but I also, I'm attracted to the opposite sex. So I don't have to worry about things of that nature. It doesn't think on me about, what someone else has to go through.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that that's one of the things that's so important, I think, in like therapy and social work world too, is like we have to remember that like the people who are experiencing, whatever it is that they're going through, they are the experts of the experience, and we, should be the ones listening to them. Very similar to what Michael was saying. Like I remember when I was planning my honeymoon, and my mom was like, "Oh, why don't you go to Belize?" And I'm like, "Well, homosexuality is illegal there. We would be sent to prison." And she's like, "Oh, I never had even but it's beautiful. I've never even thought about that." And it's those kinds of things like you just don't have don't have to think about what people from other groups are having to go through every single day. It's just the kind of stuff that it doesn't make news. It's not in a whole lot of books. Like that's the kind of stuff that unless you're living it, it's going to be very difficult to acknowledge.
Does anybody have any personal experiences with having to be an ally to a different cultural group? Or having a conversation with a friend or a relative about it?
You kind of have to be an ally every day, or else you're gonna fall out of it. And I'll be talking to friends or people who are members of groups I'm not a part of, and I'll say something like, because that Belize thing you were talking about reminded me of something. Was talking to a friend about, oh, we should move here, we should move there. And she was like, no, I can't do that. I think they wouldn't like me there. I don't think this would work. I was also talking to my friend who has, and this is kind of a weird one, who's allergic to almost everything. And these are some certain disabilities, certain invisible disabilities are things you don't really think about. But he was like, no, I can't live anywhere but Maryland. This is the only place I know the food, and I know I'm not gonna that I'm going to be able to eat. And I'm like, oh, it's a lot of stuff I never have to think about. So I think you have to do it every day. And you have to listen. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. I mean, as a Black female, it's the same thing. I've got to think of different things every day, even to the point, even here in the state of Maryland, like if I want to travel, just like Lindsay said, am I going to be okay as a Black female going to this space or going to this spot or going to this restaurant or going to, so it's, it's stressful because every day you got to, kind of navigate that and think about it. And you also don't want to get jaded because that's what can start to happen. And, fighting against those feelings is just very exhausting. But it's important, as you all said so far, and being an ally is to just listen, put yourself in the other people's shoes, be respectful, have some kind of course I don't have to think about it, but what would it be like if I had to think about it type thing. So that's what allyship is about as well. And so anybody want to share, like in the space of mental health?
Well, I have a quick response to one of the
Sure.
things you said that I thought was really, really important was that, it's exhausting, right? Like it's exhausting to face the challenges that you personally have to go through every day. Like anyone who's a member of any marginalized group is going to naturally have had to deal with that, whatever, systems of oppression, whatever it is that, their obstacles are, they have to encounter those daily. And so one of the most important things that an ally can do is take some of that burden by picking up the fight in some ways, it's exhausting to have to constantly live through the oppression and have to fight against it and have to tell, always be the educator, always be the person who's advocating and be the activist. And so one of the most important things for me in learning how to be an ally was learning how to use my power and my privilege to, stand up for communities, and especially when it's just exhausting for only those people affected by the problem to be the people trying to fix the problem the entire time. They need other people to be willing to take on a little bit of that exhaustion and do some of that difficult work.
Right. Very good point in terms of being an ally. It's like you're showing up and you're doing the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So I was just going to kind of just see how people saw it. Most of you are therapists in the space of, mental health and therapy. How do you view allyship? Is that something that you think going forward? Yeah, I got to put it in my practice some kind of way, because here at ABH, we deal with all sorts of clients, people in communities, and we're in different sites, 5 different areas, 5 different types of cultural communities. So, that's something that we value and we're very proud of, that we're able to service some so diverse populations. But as clinicians, individual clinicians, do you think about that? Or are you going to go forward and think about that? Let me hear from someone. Go ahead, Shana.
I think you got to always think about it, because if you're part of a marginalized group, that's a big part of your experience, and being marginalized affects mental health a lot. It's very important for mental health, and having an ally or having people who support you and don't further marginalize you or discriminate is also super important. I think it's important to not make your clients be your educators. If they bring something up, then you can be like, oh, I didn't know that. You can always say, can you tell me more about that? That's not something I knew about, but it's not their job. And I think the more different people that you work with, the more you have to sort of learn about different cultures and not come in with assumptions. And sometimes it's hard, but realize that if you did come in with an assumption, that maybe you have to change it, or maybe it wasn't right, or maybe it was, but that doesn't mean anything. So,
right. Nicely said. How do people think about that? What Shana said.
I agree completely, and I think that not being careful not to invalidate someone's experience of marginalization or oppression is also really important, because that's going to really harm your therapeutic relationship with them if you aren't going to be taking what they're saying their experiences are, if you're not going to take that seriously, and that's going to really put a big strain on that relationship if you're not really kind of backing them 100% on what they're going through. And because that's something that people encounter every day. When they say, oh, I've experienced this kind of harassment, they'll be like, oh, like it must not have been that bad, or like, oh, that doesn't happen very often, right? Like you only see that on the news like couple times a year, but these things happen daily to the people who are living.
People believe that, like, oh,
Yeah.
it's just on the news. It doesn't really happen, and it does happen every single day. It happens. It's helping me kind of segue into like, do you need allyship at work? Because it happens in work, it happens in your personal life, it happens in the community, it happens every day.
Yeah, and I think therapists, we always want to normalize, and normalizing is good. Sometimes if you're not careful about normalizing, it can become invalidating. If someone says an experience and they're like, I went through this, and you're like, oh yeah, a lot of people go through that, everyone goes through that. Maybe a lot of people do, but they might be telling you an experience that is specific to them, and especially if you're not a part of a group that they're a part of, you just might not understand their specific version of that experience. Like, I'm usually careful with if people talk about having a bad time during COVID, not going, oh yeah, everyone had a bad time during COVID. COVID was awful for everyone, because some people had a much worse time, and that's often for a reason. So I think just being careful with stuff like that is important too.
Right. So I'm hearing really great things about how to be an ally. Show up, use your privilege that you may have to fight the fight. Get educated, ask questions, be respectful, be careful about invalidating how people feel in your work. And anything else that you guys would want to share as you continue on in this journey of what you want to take with you and help teach others?
Yeah, Wendy, I think the biggest thing that I've learned, it's not about how I feel, it's really about how other people feel and what they're going through, and definitely trying to understand, their emotions, their experience, and their perception of things is reality for them. I'm not a clinician, so I can't really, speak from that.
Christina, share with us what you do for the agency.
Oh, so I am the HR manager here at ABH. So I think, as far as allyship, like in a work and leadership role, it's very important, from hiring, from promoting, making sure that you understand where people are coming from and what they're going through, and how we can create really that cultural workplace that we have here at ABH. It's so diverse. Just having these conversations, just having the DEI committee and talking about these things, and creating the safe space for people, it's so important to me, and so exciting to me to be able to share that, and use the space to learn and listen, and take that to fight those battles.
Right. Excellent. Yep. Miguel, did you want to say anything? You've been a silent member.
Yes. So just saying, from like hearing you guys, I like learned a lot about it, and I kind of was able to kind of see how in our team, Gen Y at least, we kind of like started like practicing how to be an ally, especially during our meeting, like our group supervision. We ask each other, how can we help each other more often now? And believe it or not, also as like clinician and mentor, Christina from the HR, and even Michael all plays a role in this, because they're like the very first line of making people feel comfortable, making people feel included, especially we have such a diverse team across all our offices, that sometimes we clash, and we sometimes we tend to not understand each other very well. So I feel like having and practicing an ally is pretty much kind of like being on the same page. I know when someone is like struggling with a mental health problem, it can be difficult for them to ask for help. Same thing goes on with each and one of us, whether like we're helping somebody or we're the one facing it, right? We want to be tough all the time and be like, okay, we're good. But sometimes by eliminating one barrier by reaching out and starting like that conversation yourself, by simple asking a question, like I mean, even my own supervisor, um, last month I was like, she can tell I was struggling through something. She just put me out and said, hey, I noticed you're having a hard time lately. What's going on? So now we're taking the time not to just like do our supervision meeting, but actually like talk about our own personal issue and kind of be like, okay, like this mentor is like on this page, we're on the same page. How can we like support each other and like basically like tap each other on the back, be like, it's okay. So I kind of like the space that we're creating. It makes us feel more safe. It makes us feel more included. It makes us feel like there's actually somebody that cares for each other, not just us caring for our client. So that's something that I feel that it should be, you know, it should be implemented across all our offices because you know, implementing like listening with empathy is a great thing to do, not just pushing, but you know, our mental health has to be first in the line in order for us to help other as well.
Thank you, Miguel. I think I concur with everybody. It's real important, you know, why we do these table talks is to, you know, model for our colleagues, model for anybody in the community, clients, to see that we are having these tough conversations, we're having thoughtful conversations, we're finding the value in DEI. DEI is under attack right now in this country. There's a lot of culture wars, a lot of groups under attack. And I feel like, you know, this company is, you know, at the forefront and we're standing firm in what we believe makes for a good, healthy company. And that is to have diversity and value it and have people have voices and have safe spaces. And, you know, I love what you guys are doing in GMY because you're modeling for the younger people as well. And I think the younger people, you know, they're a little bit brighter than we are because they got that allyship. You know, if you watch the news, you saw the protests in Tennessee on gun violence, and you're seeing the young people rally in Florida because all sorts of things are under attack there. And so sometimes I think we need to take a lesson from the young people because they're tired. Everybody should be treated fairly and equal and have equity and, you know, promote health and well-being. And I think the younger people, our younger generation is picking up on that. So anyone have any final thoughts about allyship?
Just one final thought. I would just say that I can see in from my own personal experience post pandemic how AVH had not only became like a place where I love and enjoying working, but it's also the way that they have created like a safe workspace that, you know, not only we're able, like I said, to help others, but we're also able to safely talk about our own personal problem. So that's kind of like you know, something that anybody should be able to do without needing assistance from or seeking out outside of their own, you know, space, which is like their work field. So I feel just creating a safe space, listening, kind of just being supportive, and you know, taking a break is actually helping a lot.
Yeah, and I think you know, kind of what you were just hitting on a little bit, Wendy, with like the atmosphere politically right now is really challenging, and a lot of groups have been under attack for many years, but it's been coming to a head for quite some time now, as we've seen in the past several years. And you know, making sure that we are listening to kind of like that ally is a verb, going back to that idea of making sure that you aren't just like supporting people when they're coming to you, but that you're also making sure to support groups that are being under attack and trying to be somebody who's going to put, action to your values. And like we all have such strong values when it comes to making sure that people experience like equitable treatment, right? Like that's something that is a guiding principle, at least, for therapy, for social work, and making sure that we are, lifting everybody up and giving everybody the opportunity to experience like the full human experience, right? Like live their lives without having to, to be under attack and to, have to experience systems of oppression. And so making sure to keep that in mind and be cognizant of what's going on politically, because that's going to directly impact our clients, right? Like when clients are seeing their people who look like them being like legislated against, or who are being attacked, or who are being, I mean, in the case of lots of protests over the past few years, being physically attacked, and that causes a lot of trauma, and that causes, people to need support in that way. So if we're going to support people, we need to be aware of what's happening in the world.
Yeah. And I think especially with all of that, it is hard for people to know who is an ally and who isn't, and it's not obviously clear. Like you have to make it known that you are on someone's side, so they don't have to guess. And I think also, either Wendy or Miguel was saying something about encouraging allyship in other people, and I think one of the hardest things to do is also address problems as you see them, and it's especially hard with clients because you want to support them, but if someone is doing something that is wrong anywhere that is not supportive of marginalized communities, like if you were part of that community, you wouldn't be able to just sit back and listen and not do anything. And I think that can be sort of some of the hardest parts of being an ally.
Right. It is. It's knowing what to do, what to say, and showing. I think I love that point, Shayna, that showing that you are an ally, because sometimes people don't know. And so you're kind of trying to figure it out, you're questioning, but those are the hardest parts of being an ally. And I would just say that you need to have courage. It's all about having the courage to invest in human capital or human people. It's the courage to say that people need to be valued. And I think that's kind of what's missing right now, is that people aren't valued. And as Lindsay said, people just need to, live their life and have the ability to live their life freely without hurting, other people. I don't believe in violence and all that kind of stuff, but just to be without constantly being under attack for this, for that, or whatever. So hopefully we'll get there, and that, you guys will take back this with your clients, with your friends, with your family, with your community. Keep educating people. Just keep educating people, because I think eventually it's going to win out. And we have a long kind of fight. And I'm a social worker trained, and so I was reminded probably a few months ago at a training that we fight for social justice. That's what we were trained to do as social workers and clinicians. And so I'm all for it, to give people, I want people to have peace. It's like, just have some peace and live your life. That's like the goal. And I like the point, Lindsay, you brought up, because unfortunately, a lot of people don't know, if they're not in the business of mental health, how much trauma this is stirring up for folks. And that trauma is, again, coming to our practice. So we do need to pay attention to what's happening, in the world, so that we are very well rounded and educated in terms of providing services to our clients.
Yeah, and cognizant that when things happen, people are going to be impacted, even if it didn't happen to them directly.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. This is a great conversation. Anybody else have any final words to add? So share the video. I know people will see this DEI table talk. We have many more topics to talk about this season. There are hard conversations, but they're topics that impact mental health, of course. And, you guys are great at coming up with ideas and wanting to share. And hopefully this conversation will help others to have conversations and model, what
Yeah.
conversations look like. And also share that video. I think that was a really great video that we shared to talk about allyship. Okay, so I'm going to conclude. I am Wendy Grier. I am the DEI director here at Advanced Behavioral Health. I want to thank our members for coming in the panel to talk about allyship. It was a great, rich conversation, lots of good things shared with our audience. And stay tuned. We have more coming. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you.